Okay, now I think everything's working the way it's supposed to work. I'll just go back and delete that other messed up video when I can. But now it looks like my audio is recognizing. Awesome. Here I am back after being sick for quite some time. Slowly recovering, slowly getting back to hopefully a normal schedule. So here we are for RP 101. It's been a while, but it feels like it's been a while anyway. So yeah, welcome to RP 101, where my co-host and I like to chat about things we see in tabletop RPGs, things we don't see, and things we'd rather weren't a thing. So let's get right down to it. Now, I feel like we've touched almost all of these topics before. And like I said, when things continue to be a problem, we continue to talk about them. So here we go with things we've discussed before. Don't box yourself or your game into a single playstyle. Remember that experimenting with different things can sometimes show you how best to modify them. Ask questions like what if and why not. Take themes and ideas you see from books and television and turn them into story arcs. Don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to apply your game in different ways. I see a lot of comments about people who seem to think different settings from World and Chronicles of Darkness are meant for very specific things. Werewolf the Apocalypse, for example, is for fighting. Mage the Ascension is for thinking. Vampire the Masquerade is for erotic roleplay. I don't know how or why these things got boxed into those categories, because I'm pretty sure each of those core rulebooks gives you several ideas on how your campaign can be run, and most of the settings can be run in wildly different or eerily similar ways. So Werewolf the Apocalypse, for example, okay, apparently I'm having an issue with my streaming. It says I'm live. I seem to be having technical difficulties. Luckily I have a friend who looks out for this stuff for me. Because I don't want to be here talking and then have nobody actually able to hear me. So hopefully this is still working. So in the hopes that it is, I will continue on my vein of conversation. The Werewolf the Apocalypse book specifically encourages you to embark as cyber sleuths and corporate CEOs with the Glasswalkers, vendors of the poor and downtrodden with the Bone Gnars, pacifists and mediators with the Children of Gaia, and mystics seeking the secrets of the Umbra with the Uktana. So only warrior tribes generally want or are sent out for warrior tasks. Otherwise, the setting is vast and very, very adaptable to a number of themes. We've discussed this stuff before, but it keeps being a problem, and I keep seeing people who would discourage trying new things or even attempting to homebrew. Homebrew's fun, people. I don't know why you guys are so against it. Anything you see can be adapted. Anything you do is meant to make sure you have fun. If you want to run a mage game that's combat heavy or a werewolf game that's highly cerebral, you can. There's nothing stopping you. And that goes for any game, not just, the World of Darkness and the Chronicles of Darkness. But, D&D or Pathfinder or whatever else you play. There's a bazillion and one games out there. I see people looking for players and GMs for stuff I've just never heard of before. So, it's cool. It's cool that there's so much stuff out there and that there's all kinds of people, trying it out. But I just wish they would try more. Because it seems like they really do get boxed into this game is for this, and this game is for this, and this game is for this. No, that's not what it's about at all. It's an adaptable setting that you can interpret however you want. So don't get yourself boxed in like that, because we see it happen a lot, and what happens is then people think that only one type of character it really is playable in that setting, and that's not. That's, again, the Werewolf the Apocalypse only being a Warriors game. It's not. I mean, you can make all all-round. If you make a full all-round pack, I mean, God help you. That's really the only words I have for that, because as a storyteller, to get to get a full pack of all-around would be just startling, and I wouldn't even know what they would do that wouldn't somehow wind up being destructive to everyone, because all-around have a hard time controlling themselves sometimes. They get a little angry. But yeah, settings are very adaptable, depending on the GM. You don't have to interpret it one way. You can interpret it any number of ways. Put it through the looking glass of anything, and any setting could be really, really interesting. Slash it with something. Make it / cyberpunk. Werewolf the Apocalypse in a cyberpunk age would be a really interesting game. Any World of Darkness game would be, really, because Mage, vampire, because everything's going to change so vastly. It would be really fun to interpret and explore, I think. All right, let's see. What else have we spoken about that we need to speak about again? Oh, main character syndrome. That's right. This is... And we hear other GMs and DMs and storytellers complain about this too. This is a common thing. Main character syndrome. Your character is not invulnerable. You are not the main character of an 80s action movie where no matter how stupid or ridiculous your actions seem, they'll always work out for you. No, this is not how role-playing works. Stop pretending it is. Stop getting angry when your foolish actions have an equal or opposite reaction. This is the nature of the beast. All right. You can't charge Leroy Jenkins style into any situation and expect it to work out for you. Okay? Did it work out for Leroy? Take a hint. All right? Learn a new play style other than chaotic stupid. That's all we're asking. It is, as Phantom says, main character syndrome is very common. It is. It's very, very, very common. And I can only assume it's because tabletop role-playing had this explosion of interest, It was, because things like Critical Role were making it mainstream. Hey, Moth, how's it going? It's good to see you. And, as with anything, when something goes mainstream, then you have a massive influx of people, and when you have a massive influx of people, now you have a lot of people that don't know the systems, don't know the settings, don't even know how tabletop RPGs work, and they want to hop into games with seasoned players, and then they want to argue with them. They want to argue with them about mechanics that we and them know better. So for this new person who's never even encountered the system before to come in here and start telling us how we should run the system, it's just arrogant. It's just not, it's not attractive, and the other players get tired of it, The other players get tired of hearing that person argue and whine. And so if the GM's a good one, they'll just remove the troublesome person, because I'm not going to make my entire table suffer for one person who is just constantly dissatisfied with everything. If you're dissatisfied with everything, you should probably leave the game. There's really no reason for you to be in it if you are dissatisfied. If you're just going to complain, if you're just going to cause negativity, then just leave. Just leave. That's just, in my opinion, the smarter, better thing to do. Acting like you're the main character is just crazy. Yeah, Phantom, that's one of the stories I'm referencing. That's exactly, because I've heard that story before, and I'm like, wait a second, and honestly, we've had issues with people who don't interpret things right, and we're like, okay, well, you should have asked us before you went thinking that mechanic worked the way you thought it did. We're the storytellers, we're the GMs, we're the DMs. You should ask us. We're here to answer your questions. I'm not going to make fun of you for it. I'm just going to answer your question. I'm going to let you know what you can or can't do. That's my job. My job is not to thwart you and make you feel stupid, and harass you and abuse you. No, I realize that a lot of GMs do that. I don't do that. I'm not here for that. I don't have time for that, okay? And I don't understand why anybody else does. So, yeah, I don't get it why these people are acting so entitled, and they're going to sit here and try to tell us how the mechanics work. Look, we've only been doing this a while. As long as people aren't attacking people, that's the problem. It usually winds up in an attack, a table flip, something. Anyway, the group breaks up and then they can't game anymore. I've had this happen in my own group as well. And You know, it's ridiculous. Let's see what else. Oh, we've talked about this many times. NPCs have feelings. Don't be surprised when those NPCs attack your character, or worse, have you arrested or executed. I don't see why this continues to be a thing. I guess GMs just don't know how to handle in-game trolls, you know? I don't know. You kill or imprison their character, then kick them. End of story. That's how I feel about it. There's no use to have a trolling character who's just going to kill every NPC or harass every NPC, because honestly, that's just going to hurt the entire party. It's not just going to hurt them. If they're in a party situation, that's going to hurt the entire party. So it's just, I mean, if you want people to hate you, you know. Downtime in session versus out of session. Honestly, I don't mind downtime, but it depends what it's for. Like, are we talking about time between sessions? Are we talking about breaks that people need to take in the middle of a session? Or what? Because there's really only one kind of downtime I don't like, and that's when someone is clearly doing something else. And not something they literally need to do, but rather they're supposed to be around the table with us, but they're on their phone. Or they're supposed to be, you know, on the chat with us, but I can see they're playing their PS4. You know. Like, when that stuff creates downtime, I don't like it. When it's regular, everyday stuff, hey, I need a break for lunch, hey, I need to take care of something real fast, hey, I need a hiatus, you know. Okay. See, I don't know 5e terminology. Well, that happens in the background. That's never a focus. Like, that's something that just happens. Like, we have characters in the Mage game who train shit all the time. It's just whenever they choose to meditate and train, or, you know, study, they choose to meditate, train, or study. It's never a huge, big deal in, like, game discrepancy. Again, that's depends on what the character's doing. Because there's useful role playing and there's non-useful role playing, and I don't consider crafting, training skills, that sort of thing to be something you would focus on. However, if you're interacting with important NPCs that pertain to your character, that is important plot event. I don't consider that downtime. And I know some people do consider that downtime, the normal, like, say your character, you know, has an aging father that lives in a town, and your character's a mercenary, and every once in a while your character tries to visit his father and make sure he's okay. So every once in a while you get a scene where you get to interact with your father. Some people would call that downtime. I call that very important role playing, because that has to do with character growth and development. And that should always be focused on. Now, when all you're doing is training skills or crafting, and you're just doing intermittent roles in between that, I don't focus on that. That's summarized. That's literally glossed over, because there's no reason for me to sit here and have somebody do push-ups or run obstacle courses or, you know, have a discussion with their mentor unless they want to have a discussion with their mentor. Because, again, that falls under the category of possibly important role-playing. That could be character development, you know, and stuff going on. But again, in our Mage game, we have people train all the time. It's glossed over. You know, whatever hours they spend doing it, that's the hours they spend doing it. There's not, like, a whole rigmarole for it. We're focusing on role-playing, you know, actual scenes that pertain to the story or the character themselves. And I don't consider that to be very important. You know, when it's just training skills or crafting, you're literally making rolls every now and again, and that's it. there's no point to focus on it. If somebody chooses to do that, then that's fine. That's what they spend their scene doing. So I skip that person. We know what they're doing. They make their rolls to see if they succeed and do all their training stuff, and then fine, boom, your episode, your little scenelet is over. Now I get to go to someone who actually wants to do something constructive, plot-wise, instead of just sitting around training. I realize it's important, but sometimes in some role plays, you're kind of on a time crunch, and sitting around to train for 8 to 12 to 24 hours might be time better spent doing something else. So, you gotta weigh your options. I don't know how other people run 5e, I don't know if it's just like dungeon crawlers and then you have all this downtime where you get to be in town and do whatever you want. I don't run games like that. You can play video games for that. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to run complicated plot lines that happen on a massive scale with huge casts of NPCs. So, you are going to be a part of a much larger story. It's just a matter of figuring out where it is you're going to be. But I know a lot of people run 5e as like dungeon runners, and so how those people spend their downtime, how they get around that shit, what they determine as necessary or important role-playing, I don't know. I really don't, because if I run a game like that, what people will want to do most of the time is be in a tavern. Be in a tavern, get drunk, and try to hook up. That's pretty much all they do. And I don't run that anymore. That's way too boring for me to want to do. To me, that's nothing but downtime. And nothing good. I want bigger things to happen. I want there to be a story. I want there to be events taking place that I can't ignore, because that way, just in case I do play a very selfish, self-centered characters, he'll be forced to actually take part in the storyline. Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Lots of NPCs who make their own decisions that can totally screw you over while you're trying to do your own plot arc. Yep. Exactly. I love the massive network of NPCs. It makes it so much easier for me to run a game. Now I don't have to actually come up with a plot line. The plot line will write itself. Whatever NPCs the characters tap basically jumpstarts the plot. Those pieces start moving first. And because those pieces start moving first, everything else reacts. So, for me, that's the easiest way to run a game. I don't have a lot of downtime in the games that I run. It's, unless characters are like, hey, we all want to really focus on training. But for the most part, in most of my World of Darkness games, people just purchase dots and things that their character would feasibly have gotten a point in. So, yeah, they're spending the experience, but I'll tell them, like, you did a lot of running this session, you did a lot of shooting this session, you did a lot of driving this session. Because of that, you can upgrade all of those skills without training them. What you did this session counts as the training. So that's how I like to do that, because then people have different choices on their character advancement based on what they're doing, So characters that don't start out very athletic at all, after the first couple sessions, sometimes they wind up a very athletic character because they find out they're doing things. They're having to run away a lot, or climb up trees, or sneak around. So they wind up investing in those traits. So yeah, that's how I prefer to do it, because then that just reduces downtime. But I get it when people want to study. Like, I want to study something that I'm not doing. I get it, especially in Mage, because you can't really expand your spheres without instruction or very, very explicit study. So it's one of those things you can't really just purchase. A major event would have to happen, and I would have to tell you, okay, if you want to purchase that third dot in forces, you can, because of everything that just happened. But it would have to be a major event. Other than that, yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about it. I'd prefer it wasn't a thing, but, you can always work around it. You can always work around downtime. Just, that it's just like when a character's sleeping, that's similar. That character can't do anything. He's stuck in a bed for X amount of hours, and while the other characters do all the crap they're doing until they go to bed that night. If they do, because sometimes characters are crazy and they just stay up all the time. And then I'm watching my watch and waiting to tell them, hey, your character's exhausted and can't do anything else. Luckily, they managed to get to a bed before that happens. Okay, let's see. I know we have other topics here. Okay, this is sort of a new topic, I think. Actually, I'm not sure we've spoken about this before. The fake inclusionism. Okay, don't pretend to include a cultural aspect or a support for said cultural aspect only for your players to find out that's not the case. If you use LGBTQ plus friendly as a flag for your roleplay, but then the players realize you are not adhering to any of it, yeah, we get a little upset. This falls under the category of false advertising and representation. Not only will your players ghost you faster than Casper himself, but you'll find you might have your screen name mentioned in some highly negative posts. No one likes being lied to, and there's nothing worse than to see the LGBTQ plus friendly tag only to join the game or community and find out it is clearly not. So, be careful out there. There's a lot of false advertisers out there looking for easy targets to harass. If people, and I mean multiple, not one random complainer, have screenshots of evidence of people acting like assholes, you should probably beware, because this is like a new thing. People are flagging their games as certain things. It seems like as a means to gather more people, but then as they start the game, the people in the game are like, wait a second, this isn't at all what you said it was, this isn't at all what the description was. And that goes for like lighter things as well. If you say that your game is freeform and sandbox and is open to all sorts of concepts, but then someone pitches you character concepts and you keep saying no, 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 that's not a very freeform sandbox game. I just want to let you know right now, right off the bat. That's if you're saying no to almost everything the person is trying to pitch to you as a playable character, it's probably not a very freeform game. So don't advertise as such. Don't lie to us. Don't use this fake inclusionism, because people are just going to realize the truth. They're just going to find out the truth, and they're going to leave your game. And they might badmouth you, like, certain places, because people get angry about that stuff. So, just be careful. And for the people who are looking for games, be careful when you see those tags. Make sure it really is. Because if you start pitching gay characters and they keep refusing gay characters, and you notice that the only characters that are getting approved are straight characters, yeah, that's not a gay-friendly game. It's not. Okay? So, just, be careful. It's just another thing we have to look out for. It's really a bummer. Total troll behavior. Alright, I feel like we've talked about this sort of, but not really, the short lifespan of the average ERP. Because porn is boring, folks. I once saw a comment that asked, why does everyone ask for roleplays with plots? Why does a roleplay need a plot? I responded as best I could, because a story without a plot is just two or more characters interacting. It has nothing and goes nowhere. Conflict drives a story forward. Character development drives a story forward. Otherwise, it stagnates. Now, for the first time in my long career, someone actually said these words to me. They said, "Oh wow, that makes total sense. Thank you for clarifying that for me. No wonder all of my roleplays die." I have never in my life met someone who so quickly took what I said, logically applied it to themselves, and then made the proper deduction towards personal growth. As I sit here reflecting, I can't help but wonder if this person was an extraterrestrial doing research on human culture. I so rarely encounter such logic and wisdom, honestly. It takes a lot for a person to usefully apply something someone else tells them. Usually there's an arrogance or a doubt factor, and the fault can easily lie in both the advice giver and the receiver. I wish more people could be like this person, because that was just so awesome. Normally people are confused, I have to continue explaining. Eventually it makes sense, but I've never had someone so quickly be like, wow, that makes sense, and now I understand why my games die. I'm like, wow, holy crap, that's really cool that you were able to put two and two together, because most people don't make that connection, and I wish they did, but they don't. Let's see. Someone flagged their games as a nobody notices anything. Listener NPCs, and I think it's not really their fault. Yeah, they seem to actively turn down characters. That's one of the things. So that's always what makes me really leery. When you're getting just strings of no's. It's like, alright, well, this is sounding like you're not as open as you're saying you are, you know? So again, I really don't like it. I don't like seeing it. I really hope it goes away soon. But can't know for sure. This is just a friendly reminder. Creeps in gaming. There are creeps everywhere, folks. There's no getting away from it. But I didn't realize it was so bad that even male players who just happen to play female characters also get harassed by creeps. Why am I surprised? Creeps are creeps. If someone is being a creep in any way, simply do not hesitate to leave the game and block the person entirely. Life is too short for unpleasantness. Cut it out like a festering wound. I just feel like that's the best thing you can possibly do. Yeah, exactly, Phantom. Yeah. Several games advertising as LGBTQ plus friendly and then turning down gay characters. That's exactly what I mean. That's blatantly not corresponding with their advertisement, you know? So it's just confusing. It's a little confusing sometimes. Alright, I think we've mentioned this once before. Magic. What it is and isn't. When you make a magic system, define what magic in your world can and can't do. Can it raise the dead? Can it heal grievous wounds? Can it stop hearts and blood flow? Can it alter cells? Can it alter genomes? Can it warp time and space? Can it warp reality? Who can use magic? Who can't use magic? Can different cultures interpret magic in different ways and thus yield different results from their spells? There are so many questions a prospective player could have, so it's probably a good idea to have a good idea of what you want to do with your system. GMs who make incomplete systems and keep making new rules to make it easier for them but harder for the players are simply being childish and abusive. Don't tolerate it. Alright, leave the group, find a new one, you'll have more fun, trust me. I do not condone abusive GMs, DMs, storytellers, whatever. If they keep changing the rules to suit them, it's a bad situation. Get out of the game. Get out of the game and block them. Oh yeah, totally. It's what my character would do. Yeah, the creep flag. Now I've heard that. I don't get it, you know? It's a disease. It's a freaking disease. I don't really understand. It's bad enough there's creeps in real life, but now we have to deal with them in, like, role plays, you know? Ugh. It's just the worst. Alright. And finally, my friendly, now and again reminder to stay in touch with your GM, DMs, and storytellers. Sometimes the plot can't move forward without you. So, doing the whole no call, no show crap you guys pull with your jobs just makes us frustrated, and like as not, we'll eventually kick you, as well as block you, to make certain you can't join our games again. You know, kind of like a certain job location blacklists you from working at sister sites. I'm not saying to treat your roleplay career like a job, but I am saying to be professional enough to let your co-players and GMs know when you won't be available for a session. When people forget to tell us, you know, we tend to assume the person lacks the ability to time manage and keep a schedule. It's just easier for us to kick them. Players are many. Dropping the irresponsible ones quickly makes my job so much easier. So, you know, when people don't communicate with me, I tend to kick them. And I don't want excuses either. I don't want to hear that, oh, I have so much going on in my life, oh, I have anxiety, oh, I have this, oh, I have that. Drop the game. Okay, drop the game. I don't want to hear excuses and how badly you want to stay in it. You don't have the time for it right now, clearly. So there's absolutely no reason for you to be in it and to be stressing yourself out any more than you already are if you have all of these things going on in your life. Focus on your life, get everything straightened out, come back to role-playing when you have the time. It's that simple. Not a big thing, you know? I have players every once in a while who are like, well, I have a doctor's appointment, or I'm just not feeling well enough to play today. They let me know. Right? They let me know, and then it's not a big deal, you know? And I do the same thing. I'll be like, hey guys, I'm sick, you know, I've got a sinus infection or something, I don't think I can run a session today. And my players are always like, no problem, you know? So... Well, even with my good friend group, I have to do a lot of poking and prodding. As one of my players likes to say, it's like herding cats. My main group is literally like herding cats, and herding them into a swimming pool, a place they don't want to go, because I have players that are just forgetful, they have ADHD, they have a ton of responsibilities, and so they literally dead brain it and forget, and I'm the one that has to text people and be like, hey, are we meeting today? Hey, what's going on? Hey, are you working? Hey, it'd be really cool if I knew what was going on this weekend, so I can make plans. So, yeah, there's problems on both sides of the fence. I wish there wasn't, but there is. And it's just these days it seems like people are really busy, so I can't really get mad at people when they're busy. Just let me know. That's my only complaint. Let me know. Hey, I can't show up this week, stuff came up. No problem, no problem. I am not going to crucify you for having a life. I will crucify you, however, for not telling me and not showing up to the session. Okay? Because that just frustrates me to no end, because me and the other players are sitting around waiting for you. So it's a little aggravating. But it is what it is. Hopefully people will get better at it. Hopefully people will get into better groups and be able to have fun. Hopefully people will be able to step outside of their comfort zones and play different games, or play different types of games with, settings they've already used. Hopefully they'll get away from the main character syndrome, but, I'm not going to hold my breath. But this has been a nice episode. It's nice to get back to what I've been doing, get back to talking about all the stuff that we encounter, all the stuff that we see and hear about, and hear opinions from people like Moth. Because we do appreciate it. Alright, guys. It's been great. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for watching. Tune in for the next episode.